Hey there. My name is Craig Rodriguez Sayas. I'm a clinical psychologist and assistant professor here at the University of Michigan. And I'm inviting you to participate in the second part of our spectrum study. You're receiving this invitation because you would have participated in our previous study over the past year, the spectrum study, that looked at different mental health aspects among LGBTQ plus individuals. It would have involved an intensive, pretty much assessment at the baseline with different measures, and then we would have followed you for about 2 weeks where we were pinging you on your phones several times a day to complete some shorter surveys. We're currently inviting you to complete another study that we have that kind of adds on to that study, looking at a comprehensive assessment of psychiatric experiences among LGBTQ plus individuals. So in this video, I'm going to explain a little bit more about what this study entails and what we're trying to get out of it. I really appreciate your interest in this study and your participation in our studies in general, because without this data and your participation, we would not be able to better understand the mental health needs of LGBTQ plus individuals. So let's start. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the study. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the hierarchical taxonomy of psychopathology, or the HiTOP model, what to expect, compensation, and I want to thank you so much for your participation. Now, the HiTOP, or the hierarchical taxonomy of psychopathology, is an emerging and leading psychiatric assessment system designed to improve on many of the limitations that we have in classification and diagnosis of mental health conditions. I myself am an executive committee member of the HiTOP Consortium, which spans multiple scientists across the world trying to better understand and improve our measurement, assessment, and conceptualization of mental health problems that people experience. That being said, we need to ensure that individuals from LGBTQ plus and other underrepresented groups are included to better understand how this model applies to or doesn't apply to these populations. So the HiTOP Consortium, we created a self-report measure that comprehensively assesses different domains of mental health functioning. The goal of this study now is to use that measure and to get data from LGBTQ plus individuals. We're reaching out to folks from the Spectrum study because you've already completed so much data from this study and given us so much information about your mental health, to also get this additional information, which will help us, one, improve the HiTOP model, but two, especially for folks in the Spectrum study, be able to kind of coalesce this with the previous data you've given us to understand even more about predictors of these different domains among LGBTQ plus individuals. So we want to make sure that our understanding of mental health, psychiatric conditions, and improvement of classification doesn't leave LGBTQ plus folks behind. And this is the thing that I focus on in my lab, the SPLAT lab, or the Stigma Psychopathology and Assessment Lab. Now, this might look a little bit confusing. Let me just walk you through just a brief synopsis. This is the HiTOP model. As you see, it shows us kind of a hierarchy. So it's a hierarchical model. At the bottom in the red box are the different conditions that we typically talk about. We usually talk about psychiatric disorders like generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, borderline personality disorder. But what we find when we look at the data is that more often than not, people are diagnosed with two, three, multiple disorders. What we're trying to do in the HiTOP Consortium is look at how these disorders co-occur, meaning which disorders tend to be diagnosed together to better understand what's underneath them. What are the few domains that are common across these different disorders? And maybe by doing so, we can improve psychiatric assessment, we can improve case conceptualization, and hopefully treatment. So when you see at the top of this hierarchy, there are fewer boxes, only about 4 or 5 or 6 boxes. The idea is that we're trying to get at these dimensions. We're trying to measure these dimensions. So the current study looks at a comprehensive assessment of psychopathology across all of these different dimensions to better improve this system. If you're interested in more information, you can always reach out to us in the lab. I'm happy to direct you out to more readings. We also have different HiTOP trainings that kind of go over how the system is used. That could be for folks who are interested in learning more. So what you're going to get is asked a variety of questions about your mental health, alcohol use, your experiences, and your behaviors. And I just want you to respond with the best answer that corresponds with your experiences. One thing to note is please pay attention to the time frames of the different questions, because that's going to be important. I'm going to go over 2 examples in a bit. You have guaranteed compensation once you complete the study, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. So here's an example question. The instruction will be in this section. You'll be asked to respond to a number of statements about your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Some of these things are pretty common, whereas others are less common. As you respond to the following items, please consider whether there have been significant times during the last month when the following statements apply to you or your best thoughts and beliefs, or your thoughts and beliefs, sorry, not best. Please select the option that best describes how well each statement describes you all your thoughts and beliefs during the last month. So when answering this question, we really want you to think about in the past month, how has this described me? And this is an example of an item you will get. I lost a significant amount of weight without even trying. So you think back in the past month and think, does this apply to me? Not at all, a little bit, moderately, or a lot, and select the response that best reflects your experience. Other types of questions might ask for a more general understanding of how you tend to be. So this is an example. In this section, you'll be asked about how you have felt or acted most of the time since early adulthood, regardless of the situation or whom you were with. Do not include times when you weren't yourself or when you acted differently than usual because you were depressed, hyper, anxious, nervous, drinking heavily, using medicines or drugs, or experiencing their bad after effects, or times when you were physically ill. So in this type of question, we're really trying to find out, in general, at your normal baseline, does this apply to you? Would you describe yourself like this? So as an example, you might have an answer, a question, I should say. Have you often become frantic when you thought that someone you really cared about was going to leave you? And then you respond to that thinking about it as a yes or no question. Now, once you complete the study without failing attention checks, you will be asked to provide your information for compensation. Guaranteed compensation of $50 per participant, and it could come in the form of a gift card or cash or check. There are several attention checks throughout the study to make sure that you're paying attention. If you're unable to complete the attention check appropriately or you fail the attention check, you will be routed to the end of the study and won't receive compensation. These are just to make sure that you're paying attention, and they're pretty minor. That being said, once you complete this, once you complete the study, I should say, we will provide you with a survey to provide us with your contact information, your mailing address, and your social security number as part of the University of Michigan protocol so that we can compensate you. Please note, if you don't provide a complete mailing address with zip code, with building number, with state and city, we will not be able to compensate you. So please provide that so we can provide you with the compensation because we're really grateful for your participation and we know this takes time. The expected time to complete the survey is about 45 minutes, which is why we're compensating at such a high bar, $50 pretty much for the hour. And because you've already participated in our previous study, we're especially eager to be able to get this data and this information from you because it would really help our understanding of these different psychiatric domains. I want to thank you very much for your interest in the study, for your hopeful eventual participation. It's really important to us to ensure that LGBTQ plus folks and their mental health needs are considered as we improve psychiatric diagnostic system. At the Stigma Psychopathology and Assessment, or the SPLAT Lab, we're committed to understanding the mental health needs of LGBTQ plus individuals. Thank you for the time watching this video and your participation in our study. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, Lindsay Gabe, who's my current lab manager. The email address is below, or you can contact me directly if you'd like at my email address below. Thank you very much.